Hey kids, welcome to Channel Kids Moral Stories. Once upon a time, in a small village, nestled in the rolling hills of a far-off land, there lived a poor boy named Rowan. He lived with his parents in a small, humble hut on the outskirts of the village. Rowan's parents worked hard to provide for him, his father toiling in the fields and his mother sewing clothes for the villagers. Despite their hard work, they could barely afford the basic necessities, and Rowan often went to school with tattered clothes and worn-out shoes. On the other side of the village, there lived a rich girl named Sophia. She lived in a grand mansion with her parents, who were wealthy business owners. Sophia had everything she could ever want: expensive clothes, toys, and gadgets. She went to school in a fancy car, and her parents threw lavish parties for her birthday. One day, Rowan and Sophia met at school. Sophia was immediately drawn to Rowan's kind and gentle nature. Despite his tattered clothes and worn-out shoes, Rowan, on the other hand, was amazed by Sophia's beauty and wealth. They started talking, and Sophia learned about Rowan's love for books and his dreams of becoming a writer. Rowan learned about Sophia's love for music and her talent for playing the piano. As they spent more time together, Sophia began to realize that true happiness didn't come from material possessions. She saw how Rowan's family struggled to make ends meet, yet they were always happy and content. They shared what little they had, and their love for each other was palpable. Sophia began to question her own life and values. She realized that her parents' wealth hadn't brought her true happiness, and she felt lonely despite being surrounded by luxury. Rowan, too, learned from Sophia. He saw how lonely she was. Despite being surrounded by wealth and luxury, he realized that true friendship and love were more valuable than any amount of money. He learned about the importance of empathy, kindness, and compassion. Together, they learned valuable lessons about the importance of relationships over material possessions. They became inseparable friends, and their friendship changed their lives forever. Sophia started volunteering at a local orphanage, and Rowan started writing stories for the village newspaper. As they grew older, their friendship deepened. They went on adventures together, explored the village, and supported each other's dreams. Sophia's parents, seeing the positive change in their daughter, began to reevaluate their own priorities. They started donating to local charities and spending more time with Sophia. Rowan's family, too, benefited from the friendship. Sophia's parents offered to help them financially, but Rowan's parents refused. Instead, they asked Sophia's parents to mentor them in business, and soon, they were able to start their own small enterprise. Years went by, and Rowan became a successful writer, while Sophia became a renowned musician. They never forgot their humble beginnings, and always stayed true to their friendship. They proved that true wealth lies in the connections we make with others, and that friendship can cross even the widest of economic divides. The moral of the story is that true happiness and wealth come from within. It's the relationships we build, the love we share, and the kindness we show to others. Sophia's friendship is a testament to the power of empathy, compassion, and the human spirit.
Once upon a time, in a small village nestled in a green valley, there lived a little ant named Annie. Annie was different from other ants, as she had big dreams and ambitions. While her friends were content with scavenging for crumbs and seeds, Annie longed for adventure and exploration. One day, While wandering through the village, Annie saw a tall rubber tree with juicy leaves that seemed to stretch up to the sky. She was fascinated by its height and determined to climb to the top. The thought of reaching the top and seeing the world from a new perspective thrilled her. The other ants laughed at her, saying, "You're too small, Annie. You'll never make it. The tree is too slippery and the wind is too strong." But Annie didn't listen. She was determined to prove them wrong. Annie started climbing, using her tiny mandibles and legs to dig into the bark. But it was harder than she thought. The tree was indeed slippery, and she kept falling, tumbling to the ground. The other ants watched, shaking their heads, thinking, "We told her so." But Annie didn't give up. She kept trying and trying, using all her might. She learned to use the tree's ridges and grooves to her advantage, and she developed a new technique for gripping the bark. As she climbed, she met various creatures who discouraged her, like a snail who said, "You're too fast. Annie, you'll never make it. You'll get tired and give up." A curious bird perched on a branch asked, "What's the point of climbing so high? What will you find up there?" But Annie didn't let their words stop her. She kept climbing, fueled by her determination and curiosity. Finally, after many attempts, many falls, and many doubts, Annie reached the top of the rubber tree. The view was breathtaking. She could see the entire village, the valley, and the surrounding mountains. The leaves were even juicier than she imagined, and the wind carried the sweet scent of blooming flowers. The other ants were amazed and proud of Annie's achievement. They realized that even the smallest creatures can achieve big things with determination, perseverance, and creativity. Annie's story spread throughout the land, inspiring others to chase their dreams, no matter how impossible they seemed. And Annie, the little ant who dared to dream big, became a legend in her own time.
In a sun-kissed meadow, Annie the ant was busy collecting crumbs and seeds for the winter. She worked tirelessly, day and night, storing her food in a cozy little nest. She even had a special compartment for her favorite snacks. Grover the grasshopper, on the other hand, spent his days singing, dancing, and playing his fiddle. He laughed at Annie, saying, "Why work so hard? There's plenty of food to be found. Besides, I'm too busy enjoying life to worrying about the future." Winter came, and the meadow was blanketed with snow. Annie snuggled up in her nest, surrounded by her stored food. Grover, however, found himself cold, hungry, and regretful. He knocked on Annie's door, asking for help. Annie, seeing Grover's genuine regret, decided to share some of her food with him. But she also taught him how to gather and store food for himself, saying, "It's important to enjoy life, but also to be prepared for the future." Grover learned a valuable lesson and helped Annie with her harvest the following summer. From then on, they became good friends and enjoyed the meadow's bounty together. Moral of the story: it's important to find a balance between enjoying life and preparing for the future. And don't be afraid to ask for help and learn from others.
Once upon a time, in a forest filled with tall trees and winding streams, there lived a fast and confident rabbit named Rosie. Rosie loved to brag about her speed and often bullied her friends, saying, "I'm the fastest runner in the forest. No one can beat me." On the other side of the forest, there lived a slow and steady tortoise named Terry. Terry was tired of Rosie's boasts and decided to challenge her to a race. "I may be slow," said Terry, "but I can still win a race against you, Rosie." Rosie laughed and laughed. "That's impossible. I'm the fastest runner in the forest. You're just a slowpoke." But Terry was determined. She practiced every day, moving slowly but steadily through the forest. Finally, the day of the big race arrived. All the animals in the forest gathered to watch. Rosie sprinted off the starting line like a shot, leaving Terry far behind. But as Rosie grew tired and took a nap under a shady tree, Terry kept moving forward. Slowly but surely, Terry crossed the finish line first. All the animals cheered and chanted, "Terry, Terry, Terry." Rosie woke up with a start and realized she had lost. She felt ashamed and sorry for her mean words. Terry became a hero, and Rosie became her friend. From then on, they had many more adventures together. Learning that everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses, Rosie learned to appreciate Terry's determination and perseverance, and Terry learned to appreciate Rosie's speed and agility. The two friends proved that even the slowest and fastest of friends can work together and achieve great things. And they lived happily ever after in the forest, surrounded by their friends and the lessons they learned from their famous race.
Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived two best friends, Emma and Olivia. They did everything together, from playing in the park to having sleepovers at each other's houses. One day, Emma's grandmother gave her a beautiful doll as a gift. The doll was the most beautiful thing Emma had ever seen. With sparkling blue eyes and long golden hair, Emma was so excited to show her new doll to Olivia. But when Olivia came to play, Emma didn't want to share her doll. She held it tight and said, "No, you can't play with my doll. It's mine." Olivia was sad and didn't understand why Emma wouldn't share. She went home feeling left out and unhappy. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She realized that she had made her best friend sad, and that didn't feel good at all. The next day, she went to Olivia's house and said, "Hey, I'm sorry I didn't share my doll with you yesterday. You can play with it too." Olivia's face lit up with a big smile. "Really? Thank you, Emma." They played together all day, taking turns holding the doll and making up stories. From that day on, Emma and Olivia shared everything: toys, books, and even secrets. They learned that sharing what they had made their friendship even stronger and more special. The moral of the story is that sharing what we have with others shows we care about their feelings and value their friendship. Subscribe my channel for more stories.